Hey guys, happy birthday to Bitcoin. Happy 16th birthday to Bitcoin. Bitcoin was in some countries, I think that it can start drinking. Legal age, I think, is 16 in some countries. It can start driving in some places. It can vote in some countries. It can do a few more things. Let's not talk about it. But I think the point I'm trying to make here with Bitcoin is that it's getting matured. At 16, you can start reasoning. At 16, you've passed that teenage age. Introduction would have been at 13. So at 16, you're almost, reasonable, matured. So I want to look at Bitcoin and see, specifically how it's done so far and what it can do to do better, okay, to grow. So who am I? I'm the CEO of Orukka. Orukka is a smart payment ring where you can tap to pay with your ring or tap to receive with your ring. So we have three types of rings, which is quite interesting. And I'm excited with this, obviously. We started 9 months ago. It's still small, as you can see, but we're growing rapidly. We're growing more rapidly than even I can admit. Growing more rapidly than people realize. I talked to a few people the other day, and they were like, oh, yeah, we've heard about your ring, but every time we see it, we think it's an Aura ring or a Galaxy ring. And I was excited. I said, yes, thank you. What a compliment. Other people will be angry. Like if you said to Mercedes, oi, we saw your car, it looks nice, but it looks like an Audi. That's an insult to the Mercedes CEO, okay? If you said that to Elon Musk and say, hey, I love your car, Elon Musk, but your Tesla looks like a BYD, he will not be too pleased. Conversely, for us and our users, right? If our rings look like Aura, that's good. Not look like, okay, but people see it and think it's Aura. That's good because number one, it's a payment ring, so we want it to be secure. Unlike this, right? This is a bit blingy, right? This is for custom customers. If you want to custom your wedding ring or to make payment, we do it. If you want to custom your diamond ring, your engagement ring, your anything, wedding gold, silver, we do it. Actually, we sell gold and silver for those getting married. But what's cool is the fact that people don't realize what it is, and that's the safety behind this. So when you see someone with a ring that looks like a normal wedding band, you don't know if it's a wedding band, you don't know if it's a worthless piece of metal, you don't know if it's a bank on your fingers. So funny enough, as small as it is, that's what we like. Okay, we just want it to be, obscure, to be yet ubiquitous everywhere. Okay, want it to be everywhere. We want people to use it, but we don't want to be out there as well, which is very cool that people don't realize. I'm very happy with that. Right, I want to protect my customers. This is a POS terminal, guys. If you go on there and watch POS terminal theft, people steal POS terminals. I wish I have one here. I'm going to have a recording on that. They just all look ugly and boxes and all that, right? But this is a POS terminal for businesses. So people go in and order this from us as well. Again, we're live in about 35 countries so far for the payment ring and the fitness ring and this as well. We do everything. But the idea I think I was trying to say there is the fact that this is cool. I like it. My customers love it. Again, go guys, go order it. It's orukka.com, Orukka, or orukkabusiness.com, Orukka business.com for the business rings. And we have a third one coming out, Orukka P2P, which is just an AI ring and allows you to talk to the ring to transfer money. That's cool. We're trialing that in a few countries. So I don't want to mention it yet, but there are a few countries that we're working with, a few governments we're working with. We're working with a few exchanges as well so that you can talk to each other with a ring. So if you don't like your phone, if you want to avoid phone calls, if you want to avoid running around with social media, that's the future. You guys all know how I feel about phones and social media. So I think the future is going to be without phones. It's going to be with rings, with your fingerprint, with your thumb, but something that you can talk to that just gets stuff done. That's where we're at. We're just too busy these days. I still want to talk about Bitcoin. Sorry, I just went on a tangent there. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about how it's grown. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about again, what you should be doing. Okay, Bitcoin is huge now. Okay, we're talking millions and millions of users. Okay, again, let's not forget, right? Bitcoin started with this guy called a character called Satoshi. Satoshi again. People can say it's CIA. You can say it's a coder. You can say it's a few people have actually lied to come up and claim that they are Satoshi. Some have said the truth. Some are lying. We don't know. But does it matter? No, because just like your emails, right? Your email just comes out and everybody uses an email. It doesn't matter who invented it. You use it and you're happy with it, okay? It's open source. So you can come up, use yours. It could be free, it could be paid, it doesn't matter. That's the same thing with the payments as well, with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin was invented as a peer-to-peer. Our ring is peer-to-peer, by the way. The new one's coming. The AI one's going to be peer-to-peer, which is interesting. But it was started as a peer-to-peer where it's just a network of codes that you go from one person to the other. And then guess what? It grew. I don't go through the entire history of Bitcoin, although we know, just search the history of Bitcoin. But it came up as a, again, without marketing, Satoshi just came up, launched it. And one person, I think it was Alejandro, went in and bought, a Bitcoin for like, pizza and bought like 10,000 Bitcoins for it, which people think is one of the most silly ideas, but it's the best thing ever. It's a genius idea because that just catapulted it to history. In fact, people started looking into it and started tracking Bitcoin just because of that fear that they don't want to be like that guy. But in truth, when that guy bought it, 10,000, the Bitcoin was almost worthless at that point. So a coin is what it is, right? Which is in terms of network, it was nothing then. So it did very well. I think just without marketing, that thing really, really grew and went very well. At this point, it was seen as insignificant, so insignificant that, again, I'm a banker, so I'll take glory. I'll take glory. I won't be ashamed to say this, right? We saw it as a joke. Banks then, I remember we used to sit in a meeting and developers would come up, whip out their laptop, and I say, well, they would say, hey, we're mining Bitcoin. And we're like, what, on the laptop? They used to mine Bitcoins. That's how cheap or how easy it was computationally to do. And then they made a lot of money. I'm sure I hope they didn't sell, but they've made a lot of money, but it was just a few lines. You can still look at the codes these days, right? It's open source. You can see it. So it doesn't matter if it's a CIA, if it's Satoshi, if it's Rothschild, whoever the people claim made it. It's irrelevant because you can see it. And if anybody changes the code, it's something different. Ethereum changed the code. We all know what Ethereum is. We know who founded it. Okay. We also know as well that it's very different from Solana, any of those Bitcoins, tokens. Anybody can raise it. Trump just did his own token. You know what it is, right? It's useless. It's fun. As I say, it is fun, but very expensive fun where one person loses money. But I can tell you that I think it started I know about it in 2000. Okay, that was 2 years after it started. It started about 2009. And what's funny is that it was during the financial crisis. I know that because I was in 2008. Again, guys, you can check my LinkedIn here. I'm never lying on this one. And I'm not ashamed. So you can just check and you can see it, right? You can... someone just ordered a ring. Cool, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Did someone just order it from this video? If you did, thank you. All right. Because I think this is live. I don't know. Anyway, cool. Welcome to Orukka. Yeah, welcome where you can talk to me. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I can stop this video and answer your question. But I think my point was the fact that it was during the midst of the financial crisis that this came up, right? So imagine someone launching something in a financial crisis. So that's exactly what happened. In 2008, it launched it, right? And the idea was that it didn't want it to be central. But, it didn't want to be central. So it was meant to be like a network where you can pass from one to the other. So no central control. Trust in cryptography where you can actually see, and there had to be a code, a puzzle to solve before they can even say that's a true transaction. Which now is hard, and it's getting harder and harder, right? In finance, we just go, we look at the amount, we say this is the amount, and that's it. Yeah? And the bank actually says what the amount is, and that's it. And the bank has its own ledger. So each bank has their ledger. We see how much this person owes. This person is paying this to this person. We debit one, credit one, that's what's done. Okay, that's it. On the other hand as well, if you derive Bitcoin is a global central ledger where everybody knows what's coming in and out. So to avoid that as well, you make sure that one, you actually are legit. Number two, everyone has to agree on what it is before you change it. So it's a really good idea, which I think came up. Scarcity as well came in there for some weird reason. They said, oh, there's going to be 21 million. I know why they came up with that number. No one's ever asked why it came up with that number, but I think it's the weirdest number to come up with and just say that's it. That's all the number in circulation. No one can go in and issue a new Bitcoin. Okay, we issue currencies till tomorrow. Everyone issues a token. Ethereum can issue a token tomorrow. Solana can issue more tomorrow. But only Bitcoin has that and remains that. So I think that's one of the cool things where bankers don't want to admit it. Central governments don't want to admit it. All the big boys, BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, don't want to admit it, but you have to because it's scarce. Gold is scarce, but they still produce about 2%, 1 to 2% per annum, like mined. Yeah, gold is scarce, but not as scarce as Bitcoin. And so whoever is here arguing about gold should know that one, you can still find gold. You can find an asteroid. Yeah, scientists are really looking into this. Find an asteroid on Mars and go in and find more mineral resources there. That's going to drive down the price of gold. Bitcoin, you can argue it's just a network, but again, it's still a network that people use. As much as network as a banking network. Swift is a network, but it's very valuable. So it's Bitcoin. So if you know about banking, you would know as well that everything is just a number anyway in banking. So banks go down, your number goes, that's zero. You've got nothing, you're worthless, no matter how much you have in the bank. Because it's a ledger, because it's electronic, and it's a piece of paper as well. The banks have gone down. Anyone that's been through banks going down, you realize that the government can only do so much. Even though they issue the currency, they issue the paper notes, and you're happy with it, but in truth, you're still relying on that. So I just think again, in the last 16 years, let's just go through it. So 2008 was the first financial crisis. Another one in 2021 was the 2019 COVID. So about, several market cycles up and down that's gone through because people say it's new. Bitcoin is new. At 16 years old, I don't think you're new anymore. It's gone through cycles. It's been declared dead hundreds of times. It's useless. It's worthless. It's going to tank several times. In fact, just this is January. So December of November, it was tanking as well. It was going, I think it went down to below, I think about 80,000 on the dollar, on Bitcoin to a dollar, which is crazy. Again, I don't know what it's going to be when anyone's watching this. But the truth is, it's gone up and down a lot and declared dead, but suddenly governments as well. I remember a lot of bankers just thought it was a joke. We're like, whoa, there's nothing like this. No one's behind this. Just a network. What's the value of a network? What's the value of Facebook? Facebook can issue their own currency and it's a network, except now governments are buying it, which is different. 16 years later, governments are now buying it. Corporations are buying it. Central governments are now issuing their own crypto, which is basically a central bank digital currency that works on the blockchain, which again is the basis is still the same thing on crypto side. So my point is just it's a really cool technology that came up. It made changes. It continues to make changes, and it's still open source, so you can still see it. And I think it's definitely something that was not built for headlines. People argue about Bitcoin, the importance or if it's worth it. People trash it. I don't think it was built for headlines. It wasn't built to be famous. It wasn't built to be crazy. Just again, it's a few lines of code. It's a white paper. It's simple. It's a connection from A to B. That's all it is. I don't give financial advice, but I'm still going to be honest and say, hey, people who are buying Bitcoin, it's as clever as buying a dollar or clever as buying gold. Okay. It's just really volatile. Okay, really volatile because of the perception. But in truth, at the end of the day, you're just buying a currency. You're buying something that people can go from A to B on. If you're buying it because you think the value is going to go up, you should maybe read about inflation to know that the Bitcoin value is not going up. It's the currencies that are going down. And if you do nothing, if you don't buy Bitcoin, the currencies go down anyway. I'm going to have a whole video on inflation and the paying to our salaries on that one. Regardless, if you just hold the dollar, okay, the dollar becomes worthless. If you hold the dollar and you buy gold, the gold goes up because the value of the dollar is going down. If you take your dollar and buy Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes up and the dollar keeps going down. If you hold the dollar and buy a t-shirt, okay, the t-shirt stays here, the value of the dollar keeps going down. So the point is the value of the dollar is what's going down. You're not really making money from Bitcoin. Even if you're making money from Bitcoin on the dollar, unless you can pay with Bitcoin, the dollar is just the dollar. You still have to go in and buy it. So if you bought Bitcoin and you think, yeah, everything is crashed now, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin. When you sell your Bitcoin, you're still buying a worthless dollar to spend. Unless things change, right? So we'll see how things go. I mean, we're looking into this. I can tell you on the rings, so we're looking into how this is going to work. Maybe we can jump around or hop around from cash to Bitcoin to dollar without having to, worry about wallets and things like that. It's something to be looked at, right? But my point is, I think, for Bitcoin at 16 years, it's grown very fast, but it can do better. Okay, that's my verdict. I think Bitcoin is a disappointment. I'm still going to say it is a disappointment because when it started and burst into the scenes, people thought it was going to change the world. I mean, it looked like it was going to change the world. Again, it could do anything. It could do everything. It was settled. It was immutable. 21 million could settle at any time of the day. It could have been used as a P2P, which was written as a P2P, but now they call it a store of value. And once if something becomes a store of value, it's dead. Yeah, gold is a store of value. What does that mean? That means it's dead. Like you can't use it to pay for anything. You can only use it as a store of value and hope it goes up and things crash. When things crash, then value of gold goes up. But Bitcoin doesn't behave like gold. So when things crash, Bitcoin goes up and it goes down as well. So it's almost I don't want to use a jargon word. I was going to say it's not correlated. So it's not correlated. Yeah, let's just say that because correlation means that it's going the same direction, but it's not. With the market, it goes up and down. So it's not really gold. It's not a store of value. Ultimately goes up eventually, as with anything else that goes up. So my point was the fact that I don't think Bitcoin, as long as Bitcoin tries and keeps trying to be a store of value, is going to fail. It's going to fail, not fail like to zero, right? Because people, when they hear failure, they think it's to zero. No, I think it's failed to living up to its potential. Bitcoin can do more, but it can't do that if it becomes a store of value. It can do more if it becomes it can do more and challenge governments. It can challenge CBDCs. It can challenge stable coins. It can challenge anything. Strike are doing very well with how they're trying to make it into a P2P. If it carries on to become a P2P, I think it's going to do more. And I think that's the future for Bitcoin. If it stays on this current trajectory of being a store of value, it's a sort of proxy for RWAs and things like that. It's a failure. It's going to stay this way, and it's not going to go further, other than to keep going up in price, which is not that's not the use of Bitcoin. It should be used for something. It's a network, not a store of value where you hope the value goes up and you keep watching the charts. Okay, so I'm going to stop there without going into a rant, but happy birthday to Bitcoin. Congratulations to anyone who founded it. Well done. You did a good job. And now it's up to us as users to try and make it worthwhile, to use it for something rather than keep it in a bank account or keeping it in a box or USB key and watching it go up. That's useless. All right, take care. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.